Take a break from your busy schedule and join Harold Sala for Guidelines for Living.
In Martin Luther's day, studying the New Testament book of Romans brought life to a stagnated church which had begun to trust its own strength instead of the grace of God. But rediscovering the truth of Paul's letter brought new life and energy. I, for one, say it is time to rediscover the grace of God and how it applies to society and the church and to our lives today. In his penetrating letter to this newly formed church in the city of pagan Rome, Paul outlined two powerful forces which do battle with God's provision of grace: law and license. Law showed the helplessness of man's effort to satisfy the justice of God. The other extreme, license, represented the hedonistic position that God, through the death of His Son, provided forgiveness for His children. So anything we do is okay, all covered with a blank check of redemption. Both, contended Paul, are wrong. Human nature doesn't really change. And believe it or not, those two same forces are prevalent in society today. The same answers, however, which Paul gave in his Roman letter applies to our problem today. First, the bondage of laws and regulations. Paul wrote forcibly, "You're not under law, but under grace." God gave the law to show mankind that our best efforts would fall short of His expectations. Paul described law as a schoolmaster to bring us unto Christ. It was impossible to keep the law. Yet some today still teach that your salvation is dependent upon what you do: going to church, saying a precise number of prayers, giving money to the poor. In his day, Paul said, it can't be done, nor can it be done today either. Paul uniformly insisted that salvation depends entirely on what Jesus Christ did. He wrote to Titus and he said, "But when the kindness and love of God our Savior appeared, He saved us, not because of righteous things we had done, but because of His mercy." If doing certain things, acts of kindness or moral goodness, could satisfy the demands of God, the law would still be in effect. The second formidable, dangerous attitude which maligns the grace of God is license, doing whatever you please because you know God will forgive you. This mentality, which has become so prevalent, presumes on the grace of God. It is the mentality which has caused so many, including Christian leaders, to walk out of a troubled marriage, then reappear in a couple or 3 months later with another marriage partner, talking about restoration and forgiveness. If God has forgiven me, they plead, why shouldn't you? Now give me back my good-paying job with full benefits and retirement. Nowhere does Paul write more pointedly and forcibly than when he attacks this mentality. The quill of his pen must have smoked as he angrily wrote, "What shall we say then? Shall we go on sinning so that grace may increase? By no means." Those words, "by no means," are also translated, "God forbid," or "absolutely not." No stronger expression existed in the Greek language. Another group of believers in Central Asia Minor struggled with these same two issues, and to them Paul wrote, "I don't nullify the grace of God. For if righteousness comes through the law, then Christ died needlessly." A final and sobering thought. If I nullify God's grace, could I find myself in the company of those who Paul described as having fallen away from grace? And if so, what hope is there?
You've just heard Guidelines for Living. For more practical and inspirational messages, visit guidelines.org. If you find our devotionals helpful and would like to share them with others, consider supporting our ministry with a donation. Again, that's guidelines.org. Thanks for listening to Guidelines for Living.